Hey everyone, DBSR here again. Welcome to my little channel. This is October the 21st, 2019. What we're going to discuss for tonight is basically the accessories for the LT1. The ones that I've been testing and working on that seem to be working the best based on some of what people suggested from the BLF chat and things like that, and a few that I've looked at. First off, we got the prototype. What it's in here is a neoprene case. Basically, it's like the same material that diver suits are made of and so on like that. It was just some material I bought from a material store. It wasn't very expensive, so I sewed something up, basically like a sleeve type case that the lantern will fit in. And again, this is the actual prototype, same as the production one, the pre-production one I should say, that there was some change done, so it has the inside fold bail and things like that. And the updated Android, not the most recent version, but the somewhat upgraded one. And the changed orange LED in the switch versus the green. So basically we'll start with the case itself. Like I said, it's a 2-layer neoprene, which is black inside. There's like a foam in between, so it's probably like an 1/8 inch thick, so it's padded. And it has a drawstring on the top, which draws tight with the little button clasp, and I put a little hanger on it so you can hang it on. The advantage of this thing, it protects the finish of the lantern, protects the shade. You know, you can throw it in this bag and throw it in your backpack, a duffel bag, in your center console, in your boat, things like that, and less chance of damaging the thing. And this material is somewhat waterproof apparently, and which adds some water resistance if you seal the threads really well. So basically a soft case is one of my first recommendations for an accessory kit addition. What we have here is the original case that I had made for the version 1 a few years ago. It's just made of like a vinyl with some felt on the inside. So inside this one is the old version 1 that's been beaten the battery, the SRK based one. So basically it's similar. It has a drawstring. It's kind of like felt on the inside with a little clasp on the top and a hook on the top and so on. So this is a vinyl, but I do prefer this type of material for something like what the accessory kit would be for the LT1. So we can turn this one on and just place it over here for some extra light, because we're running the entire travel trailer RV tonight. Again, with no electricity. The version 2 that's over right here, version 1 is there, and I have a light running above, which is off topic, is this little thing right here. It's basically a standard LED on a heat sink with a 105C driver, 3-mode, 3 7135 chips, a side switch, wire, and 4 18650s and a USB charging port. So basically it's a ceiling light that has 3 modes, 1, 2, 3, that you hang, and a battery pack, so you can hang it on a tree, something like that. So this will be a project video for another time. So right now that's what we're running on the top. So I'll put this away over here. So anyhow, back to the LT1 and the accessories. So what I have here, basically we went through the bag, so we're going to put these two things aside and go away here. This was just a camera case I picked up at a local discount store. It's like 5 inches high, 4 inches wide. I think it has a little pocket on the front. This can hold a lot of the accessories plus batteries, things like that for the lantern. So this is just an idea. Actually, it will actually hold the lantern as well inside here without the actual curved ones, curved shades, which we'll get to in a moment. So we'll pop this open and we'll just start with some of the first accessories that I like. First, we'll start off with a small lanyard. Basically, it's paracord. It's roughly 4 inches long. It has 2 hooks on each side, one on each end. One's like a metal clasp, one's a plastic one. Let's see what this is for. It just clips onto the actual bail handle, locks, so you can carry it much easier around your hand, holding onto it. Or you can just hook this hook on the top, like on a screw or something, or like a clasp on a ceiling, a rope or something at a campsite, or say around a tree branch, and you just clip this onto itself and you can hang the thing this way. So it's basically like a lanyard that'll pull down behind. That would be a good accessory to add to the kit. So the lanyard. Next up is a good USB cord. I am not sure what Sofern is planning to sell with the LT1 regards length. I'm guessing 3 to 4 feet is probably something you're thinking of. This one is 6 feet. I also have a 10-foot version. It was bought from Amazon. It's a really heavy gauge wire. It's designed for up to 3 amps, I think. And I tested this one with the charge circuit using the wall adapters and solar chargers, and it does support the actual amp rating for the distance, I should say. So this way you can have the lantern inside a tent or inside the trailer and have a solar panel on the outside if it's plugged in, or so on, or using a remote power supply, which we'll get to in a minute. So yeah, so a good long cord. This one's like got the braided material on it, so it's like a piece of rope. It's pretty strong, so it isn't gonna break. So yeah, good quality, longer, I should say, USB-C cord. So yeah, so next up is the side shade. Now this was something that was mentioned by a member of the group, which should be a good idea. I never thought of it, but actually it does. It's actually, I like the idea of having something like this, because the LT1 is going to come with a side threaded tripod hole. Something like this, flat white on the inside. I tried it with shiny metal. I made a metal one, and I found the problem with using shiny metal, it just offered too much hard artifacts like hard light glare. So flat white or satin white seems to work better for everything when it comes to reflectors, for giving the smoothest glare-free light illumination in one direction. So basically all this is a screw on one side and a plastic washer and a 1/4 thread. So basically threads on here. Now maybe a production shade, instead of having a flat screw like this, it would have like a knurled handle. So that way you can just thread it by hand, right? So in this case, I would just use a multi-tool or a coin or something like that, or a flat screwdriver even, just to thread it in, snug like that. So basically that's what you have. It's a shade. So basically turn the light on. What you have then is a directional shade that shines light in one direction. So as you see, if I lay it down and I turn it up higher, now the light is shining that way, or in one direction only and not directly. See, if you're walking somewhere and carrying a lantern, so it's like a big floodlight, and it'll shine the light in one direction without shining it back into your eyes. Another thought on doing this is adding to this thing is adding like a handle, so you could hold the thing like this as you're walking. So it's like the old school carbide lamps that you used to use in mines had a handle on the back, right? Which is another thing could be added to something, because I never tested it yet. But just having the shade alone is definitely a great idea. So you can, if you're hanging it in front of windows, not glaring at the windows, shining inside, and shade being wider, seems to reflect more light, make it wider than it's like the narrower shade, so it gives you a bit more. As you can see, if it was just without the shade, with the shade, it seems to be brighter, so it accumulates more light in that direction and a lot less in the back, so there's no glare in the eyes. So if you look at it, you can see where you're going if you're walking through a trail or something with the lantern. So yeah, so a directional shade is definitely something that would be great to add to the accessory kit that I kind of like, and I've tested this a few times walking the dog in the park, and it does seem to work quite well. So yeah, a side shade is definitely a good accessory. Next up is a 12-volt adapter. Okay, now these little things here I bought from eBay. On one side is a 2.1 plug adapter inside here. I think it's 2.1 millimeter. The other side is USB-C. And as we know, that the TP5100 charging circuit can handle a voltage range anywhere from 5 to 17 and 18 volts, I think, something like that. Whereas most USB charging circuits cannot. So that gives us a nice advantage that you can power it and charge it from other voltage sources other than the 5-volt USB standard. So what we did is I added one of these. Now, if you're going to use one of these, I'd recommend getting one with the fuse built in. This one has, I think it's a 2 amp or 3 amp fuse that just threads at the top. And on this end is the common standard plug that you see on many appliances, which is a 2.1 millimeter. For example, it would be the same plug that you would use for most power banks that charge these things from a singular socket and so on. So basically what you can use this for, that plug into this adapter, just like that. And you plug this into, make sure this is powered up, yep, into a singular socket. And basically into the charging circuit, just to say if you're in an area you don't have a 5-volt USB charger, you plug in a lantern and there you go. You can charge this from a direct 12-volt source, like a power bank, your car lighter socket, and in some cases 12-volt solar panels, as long as the solar panel has a charge controller, because solar panels open voltage sometimes can go as high as 22 volts, which would probably damage the circuit. So I would recommend using a solar controller that keeps the voltage down to the 3.5, 3.8 range, or 13.5, I'm sorry. That way you can plug this in directly in that. So that way you can charge the lantern using a 12-volt source with that adapter. So that's definitely a great feature of having that type of charging circuit. Another advantage of this idea, it's the same thing as using a long cord, is, okay, now this power bank has USB power on one side. This is, I think it's a 20 amp hour AGM battery in that, so it's a lot more capacity. So when you're running a lantern with the batteries, we'll get that in a minute. You can use that as a power supply. So yeah, so 12-volt charging capability with the adapter to go from USB-C to 2.1 would be a great idea for this as an accessory. Okay, we'll keep digging through the accessory kit. We'll pull out a bunch of other stuff that I have on the side here. Okay, most can remember the original shade that I had designed, which was basically just a yellow plastic bowl, spray painted white on the inside with matte paint, and a hole in the bottom cut out so it just fits over the top. Give it basically a top shade, so it's like a table lamp, which works really good for directing light down if you're carrying it, or if it's being hung up somewhere. Or it plus the yellow hue just gives it much more of a warmer look. If you like the yellow one as such, I don't know if you can see it on the camera because it's probably overexposed with the brightness of that, but there's a little bit of yellow right there. There you can see it. Yeah, so basically without the actual top shades, for instance, when the lantern's hung up closer above a table or above the ground or floor, right directly in the center you're going to have a dark area because of the battery bottom. The light does shine down in quite steep angles because the way it's downward firing LEDs, it does shine down quite a bit. Just that when it's hung up, you're still going to get a little bit of a shadow here versus having something, you know, tipped on its side. But when you add the actual top shade, that shadow is gone. Basically, it directs all the light downward, as you can see here. So you take the shade off, then there's very little. You can just see a little bit on the edges, but when the shade is added, it makes a big difference. So yeah, plus it takes away any light shining direct at your eyes. So if you're reading, for instance, reading a book or something like that, reading newspaper at a table or doing something at a kitchen table, the down shade is a great idea. So this one is the yellow one with the white inside. Now I also did an experiment. There was another bowl, just a plain white one, which is sort of like a matte finish. I didn't paint this one. It does the same idea. It just allows a little more light through the side. So it's more like a table lamp, you know, in a house. So it's actually, but it still eliminates that whole donut in the center from the bottom because it directs light, as you can see, directly downward. So yeah, again, this is a great idea for a shade. But the thing is, these are rigid, they're solid plastic. So that could be something for an accessory kit. And third up was another one that was mentioned by a group member of these collapsible silicone bowls that was found on eBay. So I did order one and just cut the center in. Basically what it is made of silicone that kind of like collapse work downward. So it does the same thing as the actual regular shades do. It just slips over top. And convenient with this one, it fits in a groove where the O-ring normally goes and locks it in place. Pretty solid. So yeah, so now you have the same idea. Even light, a little table. Otherwise laying down, great for reading, it's not glaring the eyes. And you can actually use this by collapsing it upward. So it's more like a lower type shade, as you can see. When you can lower it and lower it again. So you have like an adjustable shade. So I kind of like this better. Plus it stores flat. So yeah, so this thing is a better idea than this one, these here. So these are made of silicone. This would be a great accessory. All three of these would be a great accessory, but this one is the one I would prefer. Okay, back to the lantern. Okay, as you know, these are heavier, but still outdoors. You know, being tall and has a narrow base, it can tip. Even though it's a lot more stable than like the plastic lanterns. Like I've had these on tables, and in windstorms they would blow over, or they knock over so much easier. Whereas these are much harder to knock over because of its weight. But if you have it on, like if you hit it on the roof of like a hood of a car or a truck or something that's angled, it can still tip, still slide. So basically I made a base. The bottom has foam, like it's sort of a foam rubber. It's plastic, and it has a cup that'll actually lock to the bottom of the actual base of the lantern, nice and solid. And yeah, you have a nice sturdy base that makes it good sturdy, and so it doesn't slide around. And plus, you know, basically it really sticks on it like a suction cup to a point. But yeah, it won't slide very easily, and you know, it's much more stable in the wind. And if you're setting it on the ground, it's like loose rock or grass, something like that, you know, you can set it on an angle and it's not going to tip over. So yeah, so snap-on base. So basically all I built this one out of was a lens cap for a camera that I found. It'd be the same diameter as the outside of this, and it worked great. So yeah, a base with foam on it for stable is another good accessory. This is also a lens cap that I found. Now here's where someone mentioned regarding the test I did previously, whereas you take the battery bank off, or the battery tube off, and you can run this without the batteries. But you need something to protect the electronics, the driver that's inside. So basically I found one that actually will fit perfectly on that. But I did have to add some foam to it just to tighten it up, but this one, now it's basically a cap that covers the bottom. So it's the lantern without the battery pack. So now we can use our 6-foot cord or the 12-volt cord. And basically, untangle this thing a little bit. And we're going to plug this into USB ports on the back of that power bank, which is a lot more capacity. It's 20 amp hours. Or you can plug it into the 12-volt or the USB ports in our trailer, or a wall wart charger. Just plug it into the power supply and lantern, and voila, we can run the lantern without using batteries as a corded model. So now it'll actually just sit on the thing, and you don't have to worry about using that at all. Plus it protects the electronics. So just remember, like I did on the test, while it's running, the light will actually be red because the chargers think it's charging something, because of what is powering the actual lantern itself. When the lantern's off, it'll just turn green. So it's kind of a unique feature when it's plugged in to a cord when it's not using batteries, because right now the charger's thinking it's charged because it's not powering batteries, not powering a lantern, so to speak. So yeah, so that's the idea of this little plastic case to protect the electronics, the driver on the bottom, when you're not using the batteries. So a cover for that, the base, the shade, the 12-volt adapter, they're pretty much the main accessories, and the side shade and the case would be pretty much my favorite accessories, including a lanyard or something like this for the lantern. So basically, going back, we have the two shades. We have the yellow one and the white one. I don't know if something could be added with all three of these, but if the cut costs, I would prefer to go with the collapsible one, because this one fits over top, plus you can store it flat. And at the same time, the cap that fits over the driver end can fit inside here. A flat base that's shaped like this, which is basically a foam on the bottom, and another cap can fit underneath that, and the whole thing falls flat, so you can fit that into a pocket. So right now I'm just going to fit this inside of here, back inside this bag as a carrying case. So it's basically stored in here, and the actual 12-volt adapter cord with the little adapter plug will fit inside here. This way I have other means of charging it outside of the 5-volt range. Plus I have a nice long cord if I'm using a solar panel that you want to leave the lantern out of the sun and in a tent or something, through a window in a cabin or cottage, and a solar panel outside. You can use a long cord with the lantern left inside while it's charging your day. And the side shade, which is great to have. It'll all fit into one case, just like that. And again, if I remove the two curved shades, the lantern will actually fit in this as well with all the accessories, so then you have a larger case. But in the meantime, I kind of like the idea of the fact that the sleeve, it's colored bright red. You can, this material's available in any color, blue, even camouflage, which I've seen but I haven't bought. So basically, you can just fit this lantern inside this. Better undo this thing first. There we go, and it fits inside the sleeve perfectly. And there's even room on the top, right here, to store a USB cable. And you just pull the little button clasp on it, and there you go. You have a nice neoprene protective sleeve for the lantern and a bag of accessories. So that's it, folks. That was basically the accessories that would probably work really well with the LT1. The top shade, the side shade, the 12-volt adapter with the USB 2.1 adapter, the lanyard, longer cord, and the cap to cover electronics on the driver, and a base cap for make it more stable is the main accessories that I think that would work. I'll probably post a photo on BLF in the main chat later of the accessories, and plus this video will be on my YouTube channel very soon. Have a good night, everyone.